Today on India Revival Mission, we have a very special guest who has a pulse on both the urban as well as the rural recovery and what really is happening with demand on ground. Please welcome me in joining in Bharat Puri, the MD at Pidilite Industries. Bharat, hi. Good to have you today on ET Now. Hope all's well and everyone at Pidilite, the entire family is doing good.
Yes, thank you, Aisha. Thank you for having me. And yes, the Pidilite family is hale and hearty. In a large family, yes, you have, some people who are not as hale and hearty given all the conditions, but overall nothing to complain about.
Good, right now the only worry is whether you're positive or negative and if all's well. Good to hear that. So tell me, is it as good when it comes to what you're hearing with your ear on the grounds about how growth has been for the last 2 months, that's July and August, given that you are still seeing some sporadic lockdown in a couple of states?
See, it's very local. I mean, there is no doubt at an aggregate level that July and August is obviously better than May and June. Having said that, frankly, sales is directly proportional or rather inversely proportional to the scale of the pandemic. If the pandemic is still raging, then obviously consumer confidence and the consumer movement itself is restricted. And therefore, in discretionary categories such as ours, you will be impacted. So if I look at the whole country, the northern region of the country, the central region of the country, rural India, semi-urban India is near normal. I can't say it's normal, but it's near normal. The big cities, the Mumbai metropolitan region, Pune, Surat, Baroda, Chennai, Calcutta, these are still impacted and are still nowhere near normal. I mean, they're still a fair distance away from normal. So at an overall level, I think the markets are getting better, but are they normal? No, absolutely not.
I can imagine. But is rural recovering faster than urban? At least that is what channel checks across industries seem to be reporting that. And in terms of growth, have you reached a point where rural can actually make up for urban?
See, rural is definitely doing much better than, and actually consistently since May when, parts of the lockdown started getting lifted. Since May, rural and semi-urban, the small town India, has been doing much, much better than urban India. It can't make up because for most organizations such as ours, it is between 25 and 30% of sale. So the 30% can't make up for the 70. But yes, it is one of the silver linings currently going forward.
Sure. Bharat, being the leader in the adhesive business with a majority market share, we are seeing that there is increased competition from other branded players, not just the unorganized market now. How well are you placed, given the kind of environment that we are in and the competitive scenario, to try and maintain your leadership?
See, Aisha, competition is going to be inevitable in an open market. And as leaders, obviously, lots of people are going to look at our share and say, we wish we had some part of it. We're no strangers to competition. Every large multinational, global multinational, a lot of the Indian, a lot of people are still there, have tried their hand at adhesives, are trying their hand at adhesives. But we have a very simple policy. Finally, I must please my consumer and customer a little more than they do. And I shouldn't, spend too much time looking over my shoulder, but I should spend a lot more time pleasing my customer. And as long as we do that, we will remain happy.
Sure. But you know what's happening, Bharat, that all of us have been cooped up in our holes, in our homes, and I'm purely talking about the urban cities and the big cities. And it's not just the pent-up demand, but you're feeling the need to refurbish, you're feeling the need to correct this and that because you've never spent that much time at home, and thereby you're noticing the few glitches here and there. Do you think that demand has potential at least to grow? And then thereby, from urban cities, can you actually see some demand at least trickle in, or better perhaps?
That's a great question. Aisha, if you look at the Western world, which has been stricken with the pandemic and in a sense is a few months ahead of us, today across Europe, there is actually a boom in furniture, home furnishings, as well as homes. And really what consumers are saying is, if I'm going to spend a lot more time in my home, then I better make it as livable and as happy as possible. That hasn't still happened in India, largely because in urban India, still there are a large amount of restrictions, a lot of buildings. I mean, if you look at the city of Mumbai, where you and me stay, a lot of buildings are still not even allowing workmen in. So I think as it opens, yes, people will concentrate on homes. Indians naturally are house proud. I think we will see some amount of resurgence in spends on the home. It's when consumers feel confident that, yes, it's now time for us to actually be able to do this.
Do you sense that Diwali could play a big trigger? I know it's delayed this time around. It's in the month of November because, if I look at all the data points which are coming from the Amazons and Flipkarts of the world, the fact that Amazon is actually hiring the way they are at a global level and the kind of sales feelers that you're getting from Flipkart, it seems that Diwali is going to be that big tipping point.
I think Diwali, see, clearly any time when consumers are willing to dip into their pockets and make larger purchases, and furniture, for example, is a larger purchase. I mean, I must tell you as an aside, some of our categories where the consumer does it themselves, which is repair, which is home, for example, hobby colors. Home painting has gone up tremendously, which is, artistic painting. And in parts of the country, in Kerala, etc., actually artistically doing up your walls has become a major trend. So our whole acrylic artist colors business is actually doing very well in this phase. Hopefully the same will extend to house proudness as far as furniture is concerned. And as far as, making the house a little more beautiful, therefore waterproofing it is concerned. So I do think it will happen. It may take a little bit of time. It's a function of the consumer just feeling confident and safe that they can now go out and do all this.
Okay. So as a category, out of the few that you mentioned, what's really holding up and what's not?
See, from a consumer and bazaar perspective, wherever the consumer has a do-it-yourself element, that is, for example, actually coming back very strongly. So whether it is fixing small things, as I joke, my wife says, if you're sitting at home, why don't you fix this and why don't you fix that? The good thing is we have products for all of that, and we're seeing that all of those products are actually the ones that are helping. I mean, similarly, a lot of people sitting at home, a great stress buster is actually just sitting and coloring, painting on your own. That is doing extremely well. Waterproofing, is something which is immediate. I mean, when you see the rain and if there is a leakage, you have to address it, and therefore that is coming back much better. The other consumer discretionary categories will probably take a little more time as consumers get a lot more confident, feel that, yes, the worst of this is over and it's time to, go back to near normalcy again. But at an overall level, I think consumer and bazaar is coming back well, much more, as I said, in rural and semi-urban India, lesser in the metros. But it is on the right track, and I think it's in the right direction. I think it will keep steadily growing, and organizations like ours will gain from a lot of the smaller regional players because of our all India footprint, the fact that we have factories across all locations, we have reach right till the last village. In periods like this, consumers also turn to trusted brands. So I do think in this period, we will also gain market share.
Good to hear that. So will you be able to post a positive growth volume picture for FY21?
Yes. FY21, given that you've lost 3 out of 12 months, 9 months are never going to make up for 12 months, right? I think right now, all of us are looking at this week by week, as I keep saying, we are flying the plane visually. And therefore, I would say we remain cautiously optimistic, but each, this is going to be fortnight by fortnight, month by month as we go forward. And hoping this the situation keeps getting better. I think these 9 months will definitely be much better than most of us have expected.
True, absolutely. It's a virtual world that we're living in, as I always say. But tell me, innovation is well ingrained in Pidilite's DNA. You have a knack of identifying user needs, addressing these through product innovation as well. What are the new products that we can expect from you? Because like you said, it's more DIY than call people home and put yourself at the risk of the virus. So are there any product innovations that you would be looking to make?
See, Pidilite, absolutely, yes. I mean, innovation is part of our DNA. That's what we are known for. We've obviously, in a sense, recast our calendar given the current situation. We've just launched in Punjab and Karnataka a whole range of sanitizers and wipes. But these are not sanitizers and wipes for the consumer so much. We actually believe it is about making our tradesmen safe. So these are for our carpenters, masons, plumbers. I have 200,000 carpenters, each of whom employ a number of contractors. And therefore, I look at that, I look at masons, plumbers. How do we make them safe? How do we make them feel safe? How do we certify them as safe? So that when they go to consumers' home, consumers feel safe. And therefore, there's a whole lot of innovation around that. There's obviously innovation, as I said, around the whole area of home painting, the acrylics and the artist colors, fine art colors, so on and so forth, because that's a trend, obviously, which is catching on. Like this way, the whole area of do-it-yourself sealants, do-it-yourself protective coatings for wood. These are all of these areas where we feel that there will be a lot more consumer do-it-yourself, and we're already in the market with some of these products, and some of them are on the way.
Okay, good to hear that. What's been your assessment, though, of the state of the economy? Because like I said in my introduction, you perhaps can give us the correct channel checks about both the rural as well as the urban trends. And when is it that you really hope to see a meaningful revival come in? Or would you say the picture is still very hazy up until when a vaccine is going to make its way OTC? You can't really have anything conclusive.
See, I think it is quite hazy, and it will remain hazy because finally consumer confidence is a function of two things. Consumers feeling safe. I keep telling my field fellows that the moment you feel safe enough to send your parents out shopping, watch, demand will be fully back. And the second thing is about consumers having money in their pockets. Both of these, I think, are therefore things that should happen in actually that order. Order one, the pandemic lessening in intensity and hopefully at some time going away. And secondly, consumers then feeling a lot more confident, having money in their pockets and willing to spend. I think this is something that probably a month, 2 months later, and these may be famous, quotes, because 2 months later, earlier, all of us were saying, hopefully by June, July, it'll be clear, by August, but actually, it is no clearer than it was in June. But